Well, I think it's very important for the private sector to take leadership roles because, business is very important within key issues within society. So I've done various things that range from the question of voter rights and voter enfranchisement to these critical issues around how do you reintegrate people into a healthy society. And justice isn't just justice for a few individuals. Justice is something that plays in all of society. And so it's very important when we think about these things, criminal justice reform, all the kinds of things, that we think about this as who do we aspire to be as a society? And so therefore private corporations, private business leaders, I think it's very important for them to step forward.
Should they step forward in a financial way to support women, especially when it comes to abortion, do you think?
Look, there are issues that are much more divisive in society. So criminal justice reform, I think, is straightforward. I think on the very unfortunate news on the abortion topic, I think it's important that we express ourselves as private individuals and make that the case. And I'm disappointed. I think we've had 50 years of great support of women's rights, and I think that I would be very disappointed if the rumor turns out to be true.
Right, and I'm glad you pointed out that it is a rumor. So, or it's a leak that we know of. Can we talk about this partnership here, just how it came about? Reed, you mentioned criminal justice reform, which, Zoe, it's something that you've been working on for a number of years. Talk about how the two of you came together. How did it start? Zoe, maybe you can start?
Yeah, so I know that Reed is a big philanthropist, as you mentioned, supports voting rights organizations. And so we were looking for folks in the tech community that really understood the power of software to be able to impact the lives of a lot of people. So I actually reached out to Reed. I emailed him, and he promptly...
Blank email?
Yes. He promptly responded and connected me with his team, and we were able to dive deeper into Ameelio, tell them about what we do, and Reed became one of our biggest supporters on this entity.
Well, can you talk about the tech aspect of it, both of you? Because you mentioned software, right? And I don't think when people think about recidivism or criminal justice reform, software comes up. So what was the perspective maybe that you got? And then Zoe, you can chime in after.
So tech is one of the ways to have sustaining scale impact. It's one of the things that I love about tech in all aspects. And too little of it's done in just a 501c3, the for society context. And that's one of the reasons, I get involved with that all the time, do something, Mozilla, because it gives you a scalable ability to improve the world. And so here with Ameelio, you're going, well, actually, in fact, if you connect people to their communities, to their family, if you give them a chance to get the educated skills to reconnect economically, it isn't just the right thing to do for them, the right human thing to do, it's the right thing for society. It gives us a better integrated, healthier society and makes us more who the people we should be. Is
that your perspective too, Zoe?
100%. Yes, I think when it comes to criminal justice reform, a great deal of attention is paid on the policy solutions, but not enough attention is paid on the actual carceral experience. What are the technologies that incarcerated folks have to use? What are the resources and opportunities? So what we were able to identify as prison communications and education is a tremendous place for us to have incredible scale and impact. So a lot of families right now are paying incredible amounts of money just trying to maintain contact with incarcerated loved ones. And because the incarcerated are going to depend on these folks in these communities post-release, it's vitally important that we make sure those connections are maintained. So what Ameelio does is provide a completely free communication platform to maintain those bonds. We also provide educational resources. So folks, when they come out of prison, they have a college education, they have degree certifications in order to chart their own path to success for reentry.
And I think the education aspect is sort of interesting. When you talk about policy, we've seen President Biden sort of address this a little bit. But I wonder, Reed, when it comes to the workforce, what's your perspective as somebody who employs people? I mean, how does the education sort of play into the broader labor market?
Well, there's a bunch of things I do here. One of the organizations I also support is called Opportunity at Work. And the key thing is to give people who are talented and who have capabilities to get work and get jobs. It's one of the things that makes a healthy society. It's one of the things that makes healthy communities. And so I think, again, one of the things that we all should be doing, business leaders and businesses included, is to say, well, how can we get the right talent pools into the jobs? Because if you think about how do you not want recidivism, how do you want people to not feel like, I get out of prison and my only option is crime, well, you have to employ them. You have to include them in society. And by the way, the whole point of prison is you paid your time, now rehabilitate and rejoin society, and work is a key part of that.
Do you agree, Zoe?
100%. 95% of everyone who's incarcerated is going to re-enter society. So we kind of have to decide, what kind of society do we want? Do we want a society where folks, we blame folks to be the worst thing that they've done, or do we want to give them a successful path to re-enter? So unemployment rate for the incarcerated it's 3 times as high as it is for the general public. It's incredibly hard for folks to re-enter society without the proper education, without the certification. So what Ameelio does is we provide that digital virtual education, is what Reed was talking about, at scale, right? There's a lot of great prison education programs out there, but they're geographically limited. So what Ameelio is able to do is leverage software to be able to scale that impact, to make sure that once folks are released, they have the education, they have the job skills to be able to get the work that they need to not only support themselves, but also support their families and communities.
Is the policy working to help you do that, or is it not sort of going as far enough as you need it to?
Yeah, so there's a lot of momentum for second chances. So the second chance Pell was actually reinstated for incarcerated students. So now you have 500,000 incarcerated folks who can now access federal funding to support their post-secondary pursuits. So I think definitely momentum is going in the right direction. But what we need is technology solutions to be able to solve these problems at scale. We can't scale prison education programs to be able to serve 500,000 people without the technical component. And so I definitely think the policy is moving in the right direction, but we also need entrepreneurs. We need funders to be able to help us keep this momentum moving forward.
And I'm glad you brought up funding, because I did want to ask you about this specific partnership. What does the funding perspective look like, Reed? And sort of how are you going to, you talk so much about scaling businesses, how are you going to help Zoe scale?
Well, just like any amazing entrepreneur, we identify a great entrepreneur, a project, we lead a Series A. We're going to put in $3 million, $1 million each year over years. I'm going to help with fundraising, and then as you get results, you scale, right? You go and say, here's what we've done. Look at the mechanisms that now can transform so many people's lives and so many societies. And, you know, Series A, Series B, Series C, it's applying the patterns from the commercial world to the philanthropic world.
And what are the next states that you have your eye on specifically?
Yeah, so we're in Iowa, we're in Colorado, and we're Maine. We're statewide providers for those Department of Corrections. We want to, over the next 3 years, we want to be in over 28 prison systems, serving at least a third of the entire prison population. So we're incredibly ambitious organizations. We're scaling. Reed's incredible generosity has been able to allow us to hire a large number of new engineers. So every state in the country is on our list of targets. Obviously, we have warmer leads with certain Department of Corrections, and we're also targeting county jails. So county jails are unique, a unique part of the system because there's a lot of churn. So every year you have 12 million folks cycling in and out of the prison system. It provides us a unique opportunity to get these people those critical skills, those critical resources that they need to make sure that they never come back. So any Department of Corrections out there that's innovative, that wants to radically transform what they're doing to make sure that their prison population is shrinking over time is on our list. And so we're super excited to be scaling.
And finally, Reed, I mean, it's a midterm year. Zoe mentioned all the states are up. You know, you guys are trying to work with a lot of states. Private sector this year, you know, what is it that you want to see from the private sector, especially because we know it's not just writing a check, it is being actively involved in some of these grassroots organizations. What do you want to see?
Well, I think the key thing, business leaders, for a lot of good reasons, say, look, let's try to stay out of politics. Let's try not to be Democrat or Republican. But there's ways to also be leaders in society and the health of society that step beyond that. Issues like criminal justice reform, I think, are one of those. So I think the thing is to say, don't opt out of society. Just say, look, on those particular deeply conflicted issues, fine, you know, but the health of society is what is good business. So do that as business people.
And it makes your culture and as well. Guys, thank you so much for being here in person. Zoe Orchingawa and also Reed Hoffman joining me here in the studio. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.